Tiffany's with me, but I don't know how to change my name to both of us, but we're both here.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Tammy.
As far as being able to get into the team's meeting, I think I want to say we have 11 or 12 active members on the MedSurge Teams platform. So of course that includes the charge nurses that are on there. And it looks like maybe a handful of other folks have jumped on there as well. Really would like to see more staff touch base with IT, get access to that Teams on their phone, because it just makes it so much easier for us to be able to do meetings like this. Plus, the charge nurses and myself have been posting tons of content and information on there. Right now, that content is being moved, transitioned from the charge nurses over to you guys, right? So I'm posting that information. The nice thing is that, you know, instead of me just figuring something out, like yesterday, we identified that there's going to be a new company that we hired on that's going to be doing our pharmacy order verification, and that's for after hours. So pretty much from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 6:30 in the morning, and then through the full weekend days, so Saturdays and Sundays, they're going to be doing an order verification instead of it being an auto verify, which is what initially was set up. We have basically a company that we're paying for that verifies all of our months in the after hour time period. So that information was just relayed to me right before I left yesterday, probably around like 3:15. Omar swung by and had some information for me. So I was able to take the PDF that he had, get it posted on there so that the phone number and all of the information was able to make it to all of the charge nurses simultaneously, right? And so that's the benefit of this platform, is by you guys having accounts on there, you guys being engaged on there, even if you're checking it once a week, right? It's, you know, the benefit that I see, and I don't know if this is just a modern day commonplace thing or if it's a generational thing, but the majority of folks, you know, you guys can probably resonate with this, and some of you probably are this person. When you look at their phone, they have, you know, 4,000 text messages that they've never read. They have 10,000 emails that they've never read. You know, you can see the notifications on the phone. You know, they've got, cool. Thank you, Cheryl. You know, they've got 400 Facebook notification, right? So like you get all these stacked up notifications that, you know, I send an email out to a bunch of your guys' personal emails. Lord knows if you're going to actually have an opportunity to read it, because it's going to get lost in the sauce with all the other stuff that you have on there, right? So by having a unique platform that's set out for us to be able to use through Microsoft Teams, it's only going to be work related stuff that's going to be loading into there, right? And so it's kind of an isolated, segmented area, easy for me to provide updates, you know, communication to you guys, so everybody's on the same page simultaneously, right? And not only that, but it gives you guys an avenue to be able to post things as well, right? So there are certain sections on there that have been broken down and made available. Everything from ward clerks to maintenance items to questions about policy and procedure. There's an area for suggestions. So like if somebody has an idea for something that they want to pitch, they can post it on there. You can respond or reply to any message. It keeps a pretty good backlog history, so you're always welcome to scroll through and be able to view and see any updates that you might have missed over the the last week, or let's say you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you've been out of the mix for a minute, right? And you want to be able to look in and see like, okay, did anything change in Meditech, or did anything change, with the PIPSIS, or, it's just an easy repository for that kind of work related information for you guys. And then on top of that, if you have accounts through there, when we're doing meetings like this, it makes it that much easier for you to be able to join. Plus, I can actually do calendar invites for things as well, and you'll have a separate calendar on the Teams app. So you're curious, like, okay, when's the next inpatient meeting coming up? When's whatever X item that might be scheduled, you can pop in there and you'll be able to see on that calendar, like, oh, in a week's time we're going to be meeting again for the staff meeting, right? And then when the staff meeting starts, you'll get a notification, hey, the staff meeting starting, stuff like that. And then this is further going to roll into, and big shout out to the charge nurses. They've really been stepping up lately. So this week I had Tammy attended 2 different committee meetings. That this is, I can't remember the last time I was able to actually have a team member present. For typically managers and directors go to these meetings, and I'm trying to change that. I want frontline staff to be present. I want you guys to be able to have a voice in the room, to have representation when we're talking about things that we're going to be changing that impact you guys, that impact the department, right? So Tammy was able to attend the ClinDoc meeting and the EOC meeting. And then yesterday, Angela and Marco were able to attend the swing bed meeting and the emergency preparedness meeting. So some of the benefit here as well is for them is it's also informational. It's an opportunity for them to be able to be up to speed on updates and changes that are going on in the organization, which enables them to be able to bring things back to you guys as well. So kind of the direction that we're moving this towards, I would like any individual that's interested in attending these meetings, and I'm actually asking during these meetings if we can make them accessible via Teams, because I know a lot of you guys don't live necessarily in Parker, right? And you don't have to physically be on campus to attend one of these meetings, right? So I'm asking in each of these committee meetings if we can make it accessible via Teams. At a minimum, if I can just make it an invite accessible via Teams, so I can pull you guys in on those meetings from my phone. I can stick my phone in the middle of the table so you can listen in at a minimum. And it's good educational content. You never know exactly what it is that you're going to learn from sitting in on one of these meetings, just the kind of content that you're going to hear about, things that are being worked on, things that are being talked about. Plus, it's an opportunity as well for folks on the team to be able to step up and provide input as well. So all of this follows into a concept called shared governance, right? And it's based upon being able to take frontline staff and be able to put them into positions within the organization in more of a bottom up structure versus a top down, right? Administration historically, and this goes back, probably back to the feudal ages, maybe. Administrators, managers, kings, princes, lords, whatever you want to call them, historically have this degree of separation from the people that they are overseeing or managing or leading, right? And by changing the landscape and being able to bring the people and the people's voice into the room, right? There's aspects that managers, directors, and leaders don't see, don't visualize, right? And the argument that I typically go back to is like, I'm not using the equipment on the floor every day. I'm not using the supplies every day. I'm not documenting in the system every single day, right? I'm not running into the little issues that drive you guys bonkers every single day, right? Some of those things are things that I have the power to change within our own department. Some of them have to come from other areas of the hospital, right? And that's where those committee meetings come into play, is when you have something that crosses into that realm of other areas of the hospital, something that's, plant ops related or central supply related, or emergency preparedness related, things of that nature. So by having an opportunity to get involved and attend these committee meetings, it gives you that connection with management. It gives you that ability to be educated on the things that are changing, and it gives you an opportunity to voice up and be able to share things, a different perspective, um, a analysis of a situation that maybe somebody did not um, think about, a different perspective, really. So right now, I'm starting this out with the charge nurses, getting them invited, bringing them on board, bringing them into these committee meetings, giving them an opportunity to be engaged. But I don't want to just limit it to the charge nurses, right? I want this to be an open invitation for any team member that wants to attend any of these meetings, um, or committee meetings. And yeah, let's be honest, some of them are pretty boring, right? The content can be pretty boring, or maybe it doesn't necessarily pertain to our department. But I guarantee you, in every single one of those committee meetings, there is at least one or two things that does impact us and does pertain to us, right? And does have some kind of an impact on our department. So by being able to, even be a fly on the wall in the room, it gives you that opportunity to be educated on those things and changes that are potentially up and coming, right? So if you have not yet, I highly encourage that you take the opportunity to swing by IT, ask them to help you set up a Teams account on your phone, because they do have to help you with this process. It's pretty simple. You go in there, there's a form that you have to sign. You've got the app installed on your phone, and then they basically will sit there with you and walk you through the steps on how to get that access set up on the Teams app to get you in there and plugged in. And so that way you have access to all of this stuff. The more folks that engage with this, the more folks that we get on there, the more useful it's going to be for us. And I can let it speak for itself. I've got Tammy on here, I have Cheryl on here. How helpful, how harmful is this? Useful? Is it working for you guys? Can you speak to it?
I find it useful, especially in the shift report, so we can see what has happened the previous shift. And then if there's any questions or concerns that comes up, we can talk amongst. I mean, we do it through the charge meeting or through the charge nurses. So that has been beneficial as well.
Any comments? Sure, as am I. So just something that I would like to have the opportunity for you guys to be able to be engaged in, and the intention here is not for you to be checking this, 5 times a day, every day. That's not what it's intended for, right? We do have a page on there called Daily Shift Information. That's where the charge nurses are filling out a kind of a daily report sheet, and they're uploading that. That does have some useful information on there as far as what the census is, what's the staffing in the department, was there any critical issues, equipment issues, supply issues, any shout outs for staff, things of that nature, positive occurrences and negative occurrences combined. Um, it's just an opportunity for us to be able to consistently share that information and make it easily accessible for anybody and everybody that wants to get out there and see it. Um, Meditech downtime last night. A note on downtime, and this typically is going to impact our night shift more so than it's going to impact our day shift, because there is monthly scheduled downtime that will always be occurring every single month. I cannot say that it is consistently scheduled on a given day of the week that it's going to be occurring, but so far it's seeming like it's every third Thursday of the month that they're doing updates in Meditech. And so there is a downtime window that occurs on night shift. The point that I'm getting to here is Meditech snapshot. If those words are, you've never heard them before, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Meditech snapshot is essentially a picture of the chart up to the point that downtime initiates in the system. So when downtime occurs, whether that's planned downtime, which is typically going to happen at nights, right? So night shift staff being able to have access to Meditech snapshot is a must, right? You guys need to be able to have access to that program, because you are going to be the most common to experience downtime in the system. So, but this can impact day shift as well, because downtime can occur unexpectedly at any time, right? And it's a way to be able to go in and see the entire patient chart from start to finish, available for you guys to be able to review at any given time. And that's all of the information that has been documented on that patient: lab values, radiology reports, physician documentation, nurses documentation and nurses notes, vital signs, I's and O's, MAR. So everything that had been documented in the MAR and up until that point is all available in there for you to be able to view, right? It's almost like being able to have a paper chart, right, that has all of the information we've documented copied onto that paper chart, but it's a digital platform, right? So it just gives you that ability to go in and see everything in that chart despite the system being on downtime, right? Very useful for you to be able to have access to. If you do not have access to Meditech snapshot, or you do not know what it is and you need more information, you can reach out to me for more information. I'd be happy to run through exactly what you can find on there. If you need access, you can contact Susie Cordilla, or you can contact Miguel Quinones and they can get you set up. All of our charge nurses should not only be in the system and capable of getting in there, but they should know as well how to show you around in that system as well. So if you have, if you get access and you have questions, and you need somebody to help you go through it, touching base with the charge nurses is critical, because they can show you in person everything that they actually have in the Meditech downtime snapshot that's available. Do some screen sharing here for you guys so you can see. So another of the benefits that I have from being able to utilize this Teams platform is it makes it extremely easy for me to run meetings now, because all of the topics and content that are critical, things that we need to be talking about, typically I have something that's in here, and it's an opportunity for us to review that content to make sure everybody's up to speed. So just a brief item: ICU coverage Thursday through Wednesday. Tammy and Tristan and Enoch have picked up. Chastity is out right now, so really appreciate them stepping up. They're going to be on call and available if ICU is open. We have Stephanie, our nurse that's on day shift, that has gone through and put together a very helpful step-by-step instruction on how to perform chart audits. So she pulled some creativity out and was able to put together something with colored pens and things of that nature to make this process extremely easy. I've got something posted on here for wound staging. We are in the process. We have a handful of these safe seizure pads that we are currently trialing to see if this is something that we like. There is 2 bags of them that are located in the supply area in our department. I have an extra bag that's in my office. So this is one of the products that we're looking at to basically get seizure pads not only back in our department, but we're looking kind of at a basically a one-time use, can go home with the patient option. These are pretty cool. Because of their form factor. They're very small. They don't take up very much space. But we will be demoing other products as well, just to figure out what's the most useful, what's the easiest to use. And of course, we want a good quality product. So there will be more seizure pads demos that will be coming down the line. I anticipate before the end of the month, we should get the remainder of the demos that we're looking for coming in. I'm coordinating with Amanda and the Central Supply Department on this item as well. So you can see we've got all of the end of shift reports that are in here. This is under daily shift information. Covered. Take note, there is additional July Health Stream education that has been added. This is the content that Genesis has been teaching on and that the board that's just in front of the nurses station is concerning. Has to do with hyperthermia, heat exhaustion, heat stroke. So there has been content that has been added to your health stream. So if you haven't completed this one yet, you want to be able to get this knocked out before the end of the month. It should be pretty quick and straightforward health stream content, and helps provide a couple of additional hours for you guys as well. The surgery department, the boilers have been installed. So we've been able to get the humidity more under control. It's not quite there yet. There's still one additional item they're going to be installing there to help them, assist them with controlling the humidity in that department. But we were successful in being able to do all of our eye surgeries yesterday. So we've got that under wraps. So that's moving in a positive direction now. We anticipate the other component that's going to be installed for humidity control to take place before the end of the month. So we shouldn't see any more issues with the surgery department needing to be closed for humidity related problems. I've got a post on here concerning IV pole replacements. We went through and found of the 23 IV poles that we had in MedSurg and ICU, 8 of them were found to be broken or defective. We have replaced those. The brand that we replaced them with is called Medline. That's kind of a standardized brand that we typically order from. They are very heavy and bulky. The intention behind purchasing these IV poles was to get something sturdy that's going to last. So we wanted to get a good solid product that was going to kind of stand the test of time, and had some nice like scooter wheels, caster wheels on them. So the wheels stay intact. Those dinky little plastic wheels don't typically last very long. They get smashed up pretty bad. There's some education that's been shared for EKG content from Marco. You can find that either on this Teams page. We also have it accessible in the MedSurg Forms folder under Nursing How-Tos, and it's also under the Education folder on the public drive. So if you're interested in doing a review on EKG stuff, Marco found this to be excellent content, so I highly recommend jump in there, take a look. This is good content. I did run through it. This is at a hospital that he was working at back on the East Coast in Massachusetts. We do have Employee of the Quarter that's available as well. So if you have nominations for Employee of the Quarter, feel free to pop that in. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have also been sending out, when I send out group emails, oftentimes I will actually attach a link that will take you to the MedSurg Teams page for these posts as well. That way you can just have an easy, quick access to be able to lateral you over to the posts that we have in there. So just to quickly show you guys, we have these different sections on here. So daily shift information is just kind of regular standard general updates, right, that we're doing on a regular basis. We have a place here for maintenance and help desk tickets. So if we put in any, tickets for any items, historically we have printed that off and taped it to the item. I don't want you to stop doing that. I want you to continue taping any work orders that you have to the item. That's fine. It's effective. It's an easy way to be able to identify that something's broken. But you can also take a screenshot, or you can pull a PDF and be able to post it in this section as well. So the most recent one that I had, there was an issue with the bladder scanner. What we found out is that the charging cord for the bladder scanner was not the correct voltage, and so it was not charging. That was replaced. That issue should be since then resolved for that bladder scanner. But this is just an example of some updates that we can do, anything that's maintenance related, whether it's things coming under a door or problems with a bed or a vital signs machine. It's just an easy place to be able to bring everybody up to speed on stuff that's broken in the department, right? And it's not just notifying me, this is notifying all of the other team members so that everybody's aware that something's defective or broken, right? And that a work order's been placed and it's being worked on. There's this section on here for protocols and policies. Again, this is just an area, an opportunity for us to discuss any protocols, policies, procedures, any questions that anybody has. It's a good place for us to be able to talk about content like that there. We have one for scheduling as well. So Cheryl and I have asked, as we get more people on Microsoft Teams, if we can pull the majority of our scheduling questions and things of that nature to the Microsoft Teams page. It just makes it easier for both Cheryl and I when we're doing scheduling and things of that nature to be able to have all the content in one place to be reviewed. We've got the staff suggestions section. Again, this one's kind of open for you guys to be able to jump in and make any recommendations or suggestions for the department. Anybody can do a post. You have a subject line, you have a typed message. Yes, I do use ChatGPT for a lot of these posts, mostly because it does all this cool little picture icon things that it throws on here, just to kind of jazz it up a little bit, make it easier with the formatting and everything. So you guys are welcome and encouraged to do the same thing. If you want to throw a post on here and you need a little bit of extra help, you can jump on ChatGPT, and yes, it will write a Microsoft Teams post for you that looks very nice, concise, well written, everything all formatted for you and everything. So just an easy way to be able to jump on here and be able to engage and utilize this system. We've got a section specific for the ward clerks so that they can get in there, kinds of things that we'd like to track in this area: admission and transfer logs, phones and contact lists, updates on those types of things, discharge packet checklists, order entry reminders, equipment and supply delivery. So being able to say like, hey, today I jumped on, I ran through, I ordered, 2 boxes of pens, 5 boxes of paper clips, just being able to update so that way when the next person comes on, they can easily get on here and go, oh, somebody already took care of this and got this ordered, right? And of course, we have a section that's specific to the charge nurses as well, for me to be able to provide them with updates on things as well. So the charge nurse section and the ward clerk section are only going to be visible to the specific individuals that are in those areas. But certainly anytime there's any information that needs to be directly shared with everybody, it will be found in the daily shift information area. So from there, a couple of topics that I'd like to address. We do have some training that is coming up for our CNAs and PCTs. So that's going to be a combination of Miss Tina that is on here and Miss Misty that is also on as well. We're going to be scheduling time on their schedules for them to be conducting kind of one-on-one training 1 day a week for the month of August. They are going to be, these two CNAs are going to be working with Genesis in the education department, and they're effectively going to be covering every skill that a CNA or PCT can come across or practice. This is going to be a combination of um, kind of content review in part, but for the most part, we're talking about actual physical in-person simulated exercises, right? One of these guys is going to be hopping up into the bed, and you'll be doing a bed change with them in the bed. You'll be loading them onto the Hoyer and maneuvering them around the room. You'll be using the Sarah study with them. If they let you brush their teeth, you'll be brushing their teeth. They'll you know, uh, play like they have stroke symptoms and have you feed them applesauce, right? So the intent here is to be able to simulate these skills as close to what we would experience or encounter on a regular basis, or sometimes not so regular basis. So that way we can brush up on our CNA and PCT skills in the department and really get things bolstered for you guys before we get into the winter season. I want to be able to have everybody on the team have an opportunity to brush up on their skills. This is the time to do it. Summertime is our opportunity to get ready for winter time. It's right around the corner. So this is one avenue of approach. So please, when we get these days scheduled and we have the time lined out with Genesis from the education department, I will get that posted and shared for you guys. There will be a checklist with every CNA and PCT on there. The goal here is for every single person that is holding down an aide position in the department to go through this training. So there will be 4 weeks of this training through the month of August, 1 day a week. And they probably will not be all the same day of the week. That way there's an opportunity for everybody to be able to get involved and be engaged. And right now we're looking at being able to block out 8 hours of each day for Tina and Misty to be able to perform this training on shift. So especially when we're low census right now, they'll be pulling you. If you're on the floor, we'll be looking for opportunities to pull you off the floor, run you through these training exercises so that way you're up to speed on these skills. And if there's something that you're rusty on or something that you haven't ran into, or even if there's something that you've never done before, that's kind of the key that I want you guys to focus on. Talk to them, talk to Tina, talk to Misty, let them know what those skills are that you feel rusty on. Let them know something that you've never done before, something that makes you scared because it's foreign to you. This is an opportunity for you to be able to ask those questions and get trained, right? This training is not about deriding anybody. It's not about trying to knock anybody down a peg. More than anything, trying to get all the ships to rise. And make sure that everybody's up to speed and that we set a standard for how we perform these functions with our patients. So that way we're all doing vital signs the same way. We're all doing eyes and nose the same way. We are all using the safe practices that we need to be using when we're getting a patient up out of bed, things of that nature. So more to come on the CNA and PCT training that's coming down the line. Tina, Misty, do you guys have any questions, comments that you'd like to share?
Misty and I spoke yesterday. I talked to Genesis like maybe 2 days ago. So Misty and I are coordinating to meet with Genesis on, I believe, Tuesday
Awesome.
around 8 o'clock, 8:30, to go over what exactly we're gonna do, what she wants us to do, and just coordinate our times and availabilities from there to work with all the CNAs and PCTs and Anna is our ward clerk. She's not a CNA or PCT, but she is extremely helpful on nights. So definitely want to get her tossed into that. She's pretty good, but like you said, to just strengthen and learn more. And I know she's pretty willing to do that too. So I'm gonna definitely toss her in there and brush up on some skills with her as well. Misty was telling me about some training she was trying to do with Luna as far as practicing, how to work with a combative patient, which I thought was pretty good because a lot of aides who came straight from, school or PCTs who have never really done any of this before. The combative patients, the combative dementia combination is really something new for them. It's a huge eye opener. So that's something we definitely want to kind of explain to them and expose them to a little bit because like you said, winter is our busy season and that's a lot of what we get is the dementia, the confused, a little combative. So open them up and let them know like, you do get a little bit of this. So I'm pretty excited. We have great aides, CNAs, and I just want to expand their horizon and let them know, you can be better.
So, yeah, go ahead, sister.
I was gonna say Tina said pretty much everything. She took the words right out of my mouth.
So our goal here is not to just keep this limited to just the month of August, right? This is a start, right? Of making sure that we're doing ample, good, positive training and competency training for our aides in the hospital. One of the things that I would really love to see come out of this is not just to be able to brush up on some skills in the month of August, but also be able to grow this into more of a proper training program, especially something that we can implement that we're particularly using for any new hire aide that comes into the hospital, right? So while this is right now just training that we have planned in August, kind of the future that I see for this, the prophecy, right, that I can read here is that we're going to be able to utilize this going forwards for any new hire that comes into the organization, as well as being able to continue these competency-based upskillings, right, for our teams. So if we do notice that there are certain team members that are falling behind on certain competencies, right? We have something that's kind of properly set up in place that we can run that person through, something that's properly put together and planned, that we can bring that person up to speed, up their skills, and bring them up to the standard that we set for the department, the standard expectations that we have across the board. Um, and one of the key positives that I see coming out of this is being able to standardize the method by which we're performing, especially I's and O's is the big one, right? Getting every single person on the same page about how we document I's and O's, how we gather that information and document that information. That way, everybody's doing it the exact same way. Same goes for vital signs. And understand too, right, that this is also an opportunity for you guys, especially if you have background experience working as an aide, or if you've seen something done differently somewhere else, and you have suggestions for better ways in order to execute on those functions, this is an opportunity for you to share that as well. So we can incorporate, especially if it's something that's going to improve efficiency of how things are being done. So I'm very excited to see this finally happen. I know this has been something that Tina's been, especially Tina, has been asking me for a long time. And I'm hopeful that now that we're taking the first step here, that we can turn this into something that stays around for a long time going forwards. So I'm excited to be able to see this happen. And I'm very proud of both Tina and Misty for stepping forward and coordinating with the education department. This is exactly the kind of stuff that we need to be seeing coming out of our team, right? By you guys coordinating together to make this stuff happen, we can get so much more accomplished when we execute on function in that manner, rather than things just coming from myself, right? And you guys have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot to teach, you have a lot to share, and I'm excited to see you guys be able to also be able to take that next step to be able to share that information with your teammates. So very proud of you guys. Yes, ma'am.
Could this possibly turn into a certification program for CNAs and with the, like Haven does with the intention of them staying and working with us?
That's a little bit far ahead in the
Yeah, I know.
crystal ball, but
Yeah.
but um it's got the potential to make that happen.
Because I think HRMC is doing that, aren't they?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they are. I think Tasha told me that they were implementing something when she went over there. Because they said something about MCC is not doing the credentialing program anymore, or they lost their credential to do it or something. So
What I
just a
can
thought.
say is that there was a recent additional grant request that was approved through either the 1803 or 1804 that got additional monies to hire another educator. That educator will be taking over for Kara at the high school. So we are currently have Kara going to the high school and teaching basically like an intro to healthcare class at the high school locally. And my understanding is that this is also going to extend to that individual working with AWC in town to eventually set up a proper CNA program with AWC. Our educator will be like 60% compensated for through the grant from the hospital, and the remainder 40% will be compensated, to my understanding, by AWC in order for us to set up a proper CNA program. So
Awesome.
as far as
So that-
how that is going to intercoordinate with the hospital, I'm sure there's going to be part of that that's going to be clinicals that'll be taking place here. You know, and then of course being able to send our own staff through that program as well. So if you know they're a PCT and they want to go and get their CNA, that they would be able to be enrolled in that program to go
Yeah,
through that
that's what I was
program.
thinking. The PCTs, yeah, or like Anna, you know, or if she wants to, I don't know, but yeah. So it sounds like it's already in the works. That's cool.
Yes, ma'am.
We were in touch with the regional border health a while back. They had a CNA program. That's actually the one I came from. And Anna was actually in line to do that. The only issue was they didn't have enough students. And I remember at that time, La Paz was willing to send some of our people into the program and pay for it and whatnot. And that was like I want to say maybe an 8-week program. It was like 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 in the morning, you know. So is that not something they're doing anymore? I mean, it's a fast track course. And same thing, clinicals were done at La Paz, and that's where La Paz did a lot of the recruiting too with the students.
My best recommendation, just because I can definitely say right now I'm not very well educated on the subject, Tina. So my best recommendation would be getting into contact with either Kara, Genesis, or Laura, or all three. You can pop an email over to them or give them a phone call and ask those exact questions to see, is that still in play? Is it something that we're still doing? Or are we, transitioning and trying to move to something else like coordinating with AWC? They would have better answers for you on that. And if you do reach out to them, please let me know. If you send out an email to them, CC me on that email, just so I can see the response. That way I'm more informed, right? Of what it is that we're offering, what it is that who we're working with and whatnot.
Okay,
Cool.
sounds good. Thank you.
So, and this is just an example, right? So the interaction, right, that I'm having with Tina, Misty here, and Cheryl, right? These are things that everybody on this team, right, has the ability to do. If there's something that you are passionate about, there's something that you are passionate about changing in the department, whether it's education, whether it's policies and procedures, maybe you're very, very passionate about, something in plant ops, things of that nature. You can get involved, you can have a voice, you can be engaged in being able to change these things, and I will back you up to be able to do that. Does it mean that you're going to have to commit to additional time in the department in order to be engaged and make these things happen? For a time, yes, right. But if there's something that particularly bothers you, right, or that you're very passionate about seeing changed in the department, right? Even if it's just one project, maybe there's one thing that you pick up a year to be able to be engaged in to change. We're talking about a handful of additional hours that you may be working on something to put it together, to get it polished and get it rolled out, right? And then you fade back into coming in and doing the day to day, so all it takes is being able to step forward just one time, right? And to be able to work on something to change it. Maybe it's a DKA protocol. Maybe it's the medication boxes in the room, right? It could be anything that you want to be able to get engaged in and be able to change. Maybe it's the digital Rolodex like Alexis put together, right? Every person that is on this team has something that they can contribute. All of you guys have talents and things that you're good at that I'm not good at, or maybe I just don't have the time for to address, right? And that you can bring to the fold and be able to deploy and be able to, make something better for everybody else on the team, right? The more folks that we have engaged and working on things in the department, the faster it is that we're going to get things accomplished and bring them into what is desirable for everybody else, right? So if there's anything that we've talked about today, anything that we've covered that interests you, that you want to get involved in, that you want to be engaged in, let me know. Reach out to those individuals directly. Speak to your charge nurses, right? So our charge nurses are a wealth of information, right? I meet with charge nurses on a biweekly basis right now. Plus, we're constantly communicating on a day-to-day basis. It's not uncommon for Cheryl and I to have an hour phone call at least once a week, right? I'm meeting with, the charge nurses every 2 weeks. And then oftentimes, we're popping into the office and having a 30-minute discussion. And right now, during the summertime, it's great because we can afford the opportunity to be able to do that, right? And so this really is the best time of year for us to be able to work on those things and be able to make those changes. I'm very, very excited to see what comes out of this CNA training that we do for the month of August. And I'm even more excited to see what happens, what we're able to turn this into long term, as far as being able to, potentially not just make things better for the on-the-job training or make them better just for the hospital, but even they'll be able to take something and be able to branch it out into the community, right? And the potential that has, not only to get more folks in town trained, right, but it potentially means more jobs, right? especially for kids coming out of high school that are interested in a medical career. You know, this potentially is their first opportunity to come in-house and be able to work alongside us, right? And you know, uh, join the fold, you know. So we got 7 minutes remaining. I'm going to open it up. Anything that anybody has any questions about, anything important that you think I haven't covered, especially my charge nurses. If there's something that I haven't covered that you think is important for us to share today, please speak up, and we can cover those topics.
I wanted to ask if anybody else has had any issues with the RQI getting logging in or using the mannequins. Because Rosia was having a problem with it.
You also had any problems with using the RQI recently? The BLS, ACLS, PALS?
Because I tried to log in, but I don't remember what my login information is, so I couldn't get in to test it.
Okay.
I've never used it, so I don't know how to even use it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious, what was Rosia saying the issue was?
She said she couldn't log in last week, and then she tried to log in. She got logged in, but then when she would go to use the do the impressions on the baby, it would say, you can start now, you can start now. And she's like, I'm going. It wasn't registering.
Okay.
So she's had two different issues with it.
And this was within the last week?
Within the last 1 to 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say last week, yeah, because she was working on education last week. Yeah.
Get something shot over to the education department so they can do a little diagnostic on them.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to share today?
No more popcorn for ER. They set off the fire alarm again last night.
I saw that on the end of shift report that was submitted this morning. That gave me a little chuckle when I was getting out of bed this morning.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a chuckle for us.
I can only imagine.
Poor Dr.
At least they're not burning the floor with the heater.
Hey, there's no evidence on that one.
I think we have a little brown spot on the nurse station.
That's just the ground. The ground is brown. It doesn't get mopped very often.
I just had a quick little update. I went to the disaster preparedness meeting yesterday, and just as a heads up, they're going to be starting to do more drills. We had a code pink drill recently, and they wanted to applaud everyone for doing a really good job on that one. But they also did give a heads up that they're going to be doing more like mock drills on a lot of our codes, the ones that are listed on the back of your guys' badges. So that's why they had the binder go out recently and wanted you guys to sign, stating that you guys read through all those policies on all the codes. So just as a heads up, you might want to get familiar with what you're to do in a lot of those code situations, like code reds. So you might want to brush up on some of those policies in case they do a mock code and they call it, you want to know what your responsibilities are. Just as a heads up. Just wanted to pass that along.
So as far as that red binder is concerned, if you never touched the red binder and you have no idea where it is, there is a red binder that is located in the first cabinet that is up and to the left of the nurse's, the ward clerk spot.
We looked for it last night. We couldn't find it.
Okay. We'll get it tracked down and put it back where it belongs. Yeah. So within that binder has the policy for every single code that can be called. So if, you know, you look at the back of your badge and you see, you know, like code pink is a child abduction, right? But you're like, okay, so I know it's a child abduction, but what am I supposed to do? You can consult the red binder. It has the policy on exactly, you know, step 1 through step 40. I don't know how many steps are on there for that one. Yeah, but it walks you through exactly what the expectation is. Just that way you can do a brief review. And then, you know, if one of those emergencies was to happen and, you know, you're, you know, stuck in neutral and need like a quick reference, that binder will be there. We will find it today and put it back where it belongs. So that way you can consult that binder to run through your steps. It also has the disaster call tree is the very first page, and it's kind of like an organizational chart that breaks down. You're good. That an organizational chart that breaks down all the different phone numbers for who you're supposed to call in the event that we need to escalate that disaster, like kind of to a higher level. We need to get, you know, administration involved and things of that nature. So it's got all those phone numbers in there listed for you guys. So we'll get that tracked down today and put it back where it belongs. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share?
Excited for that August training.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. Almost done, brother. A couple minutes. Sounds good, man. All right, everybody. Enjoy your weekends. Thank you very much.
Just gonna